It's Friday Night Pint, and we are live to talk about all the latest going on with West Ham. Lots to talk about today, starting with the rumours that John Stones could be coming to West Ham, or West Ham could be interested in John Stones, should I say. We'll get into that one. This weird Graham Potter controversy that people have drummed up on social media about him hoping Spurs get to a final. We're talking about Summervile finally caving in and getting the surgery for his hamstring, as well as a few other bits and pieces that are coming out. And so, mate, good to see you. How you been? What have you been up to?
Mate, I've been busy today. Been busy. Was up at 4 a.m. out working. Had a course to do this morning. I've been in my old man's garden, having a good workout, and forgot me hat. Silly Billy. So and my sun cream. So I'm burnt, and yeah.
See,
but other than that, oh mate, honestly, I left it indoors, so I needed schoolboy era. But no, I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, mate. Not bad. Like I said, just what is this? That looks like piss, Scott.
It's Corona.
Why does it look so flat?
I don't know. It's weird.
That looks like it literally looks like piss. Shout out everyone in the chat. Yeah, look, let's just big up Dan and Lawless. Okay, wow. Fuck you, Scott. I get big up twice. Thank you, Sporting Journey. Oh mate, let's just quickly get on this John Stones thing. I come across it. I thought, do you know what? This would be a good little thing to talk about. West Ham are keeping an eye on Man City defender John Stones this summer, with the 30-year-old said to be available for a transfer. Mate, how do you feel about this? Well, I'm not. Listen, John Stones is he's an excellent centre-back, and we'd be lucky to have him in our team. However, he's a sick note, and he's on ridiculous money. So even if it's plausible, and listen, I think where he's at in his career, if they are looking to move him on, I think would be a good move for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it'd be a good move for us just because of his wages and his injury record. It's just, to me, there's no point spending that sort of money on a 30-year-old centre-back. We need to bring the average age of the squad down. So as quality as he is, I would pass on that.
See, I'd take him, right? If the wages are right. This is the thing, because he's an experienced centre-back. He's still got, I know he has got his injury problems, and we have come unstuck with that before, but he's a good player, good experienced centre-back, a type of centre-back that we need. We want more ball-playing players, experience in the Premier League, less of a gamble of trying to bring someone in from outside the Premier League in a way, and would probably fit alongside Tadibo or Kilman. Obviously, if we keep them, it looks more likely that we're going to try and keep Tadibo than anyone else. But he'd fit in well in that left centre-back slot. So, mate, you can't. I'm with you. We do need to drive down the average age of the squad, 100%. But I just think a player of that calibre, sometimes it's worth the gamble. You're going to get a good couple of years out of him so long as he's fit. But the wages stumbling block. That's the thing. We can't. We're looking to offload a lot of our big wages players. Danny Ings, who knows, going, and we're trying to offload the others as well. So it's cost saving measures. But as I said, a player of that experience, mate, I don't think we can turn our nose up at him.
Yeah. I'd be surprised. I think he'd probably be looking for a club that could maintain as close to possible his current wages. To me, that money, I think, as much as, like you said, it's hard to turn down like a player of his quality. Yeah, I don't think he'd drop the wages to the level that we'd feel comfortable with, where it wouldn't really hurt our wage structure. And then it's just a case of if he can stay fit, because it's hard to turn down, and he's a great defender, but if he's not fit, then he's about as useful as Mavropanos, you know. So yeah, it's sort of it's a big risk, but I can't see it happening, to be honest, either way. And yeah, look, I'd be surprised if that's where Potter's looking.
Yeah, I would as well, because I think he is trying to look at younger players and players that are hungry and stats based. And if you're looking at that, your recruitment really, and you're looking at John Stones because of the injuries that he's got, it's a bit crazy. But as I said, mate, it's just you do need some experienced heads in there. You can't just go for all youth. We can't say that Chelsea have got a very, very youthful side and are doing well. But there's certain games there where this season that they've done where the fact that they are all youngsters sort of has been their detriment, if you get what I mean. Because they haven't had that experienced head in there to sort of calm things down or to guide the players. We look at Ollie Scars coming in the left wing back and left back positions, playing alongside Creswell. Having that experienced player there has helped him progress. So, you do need some experienced heads in the side. You can't just keep going for youth, but we can't have the amount of 30-plus-year-olds that we've got in this squad at the moment. So, if we're sitting there and offloading a lot of players who are 30 plus and then bringing in one player that is, so long as all the others that are coming through the door are sort of below 28, so we're going to get a good few years out of them in the side, or have a decent resale value. It does make a little bit of sense.
Yeah, but then it also comes into the factor of the transfer fee, because I don't think he's out of contract in the summer.
That'd be the thing is though, when if it is a free transfer, then you're looking at the wages isn't really. Summer. Is it next summer? So it's one of them they're going to want to offload to get a bit of money. So that's where the wages come into it.
Well, yeah. So we're basically going to have to pay a fee, transfer fee, and then his wages. So his wages are about 250 grand a week.
See, we can't afford that. We can't match that. That's the thing. So it probably won't happen when you're looking at that.
Yeah,
it really won't.
Yeah, do you know what is that sort of it's that transfer has got like Aston Villa written all over it, isn't it? It just stinks of Aston Villa.
It is one of them, mate. It is, isn't it? Where you can see him getting the going in for him. But listen, they've had decent recruitment lately, mate. That's the thing you got to look at. It really annoys me when you look at the recruitment we've had with certain players, and you look at teams like you said, like Villa, like Brighton and teams like that who seem to recruit so much. But Villa seem to do their business without anyone finding out they're doing business.
Yeah.
And this is what we need. We need to stop all the leaking stuff and that type of thing, and getting the rumours going. I know we've just come to the end of the deadline of getting your if you want to do the 10-month payment plan on the season tickets. Is this another little fishing expedition to try and get people to renew their season tickets? We had
I would have renewed based on John fucking Stones.
Oh no, listen, but this is what they do, don't they? We had it with the Jonathan David. Oh yeah, he's interested, and then all of a sudden he's not. And like I said, mate, we're not an attractive proposition with the way we are at the moment.
No, 100%. So like I said, you just have to accept that. And like I said, some of these big names, they're going to be hard to attract. And apparently, like Potter has a list of ambitious targets that he wants to try and get. But because of the situation that we find ourselves in, that's going to be very difficult. And there's a concern that because it may take us a little bit longer to offload certain players to sell, to raise the funds, we'll lose out on a lot of our first choice signings. So we're going to end up going down to seconds and thirds.
That's if you believe the fact that we haven't actually got any money. because
Yeah.
I don't believe it for 1 second. I think it was again published lately that what were the 17th richest club in the world at the moment.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's you can't be sitting there saying things like that and then you can't recruit.
Yeah.
It's just crap. It's absolute crap. And then you're looking, have you seen Bournemouth's new training facility?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you know what? We'll get into that in a bit.
We got to talk
That's
about that
another
later.
thing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
another thing. So when we'll get it up,
yeah. But
it'll
that, but,
get.
but this is the thing: when you see clubs like that, like Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, going out and signing players, and then we're sitting there pleading poverty. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like David Sullivan sitting outside with trying to wash your windows to get a couple of quid together to sign a player. It's ridiculous, mate.
yeah. We are a joke, mate. Get some comments. Why would Stones leave Prem trophies to go West Ham? Being real, like this is where you're not understanding our SPB, right? The idea isn't that John Stones wants to leave Man City because West Ham are better and he sees us as a better prospect than Man City. No, the idea is that he's surplus to requirements at Man City, and Man City want to offload him because his contract's up in a year's time. So they want to try and generate some revenue. Like at the end of the day, he's probably not going to be a key component going forward. So Man City want to sell. He wants to play football. Therefore, he's leaving Man City. Now, whether he would come to West Ham is a different fucking conversation altogether, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a tough sell, but it depends who else is in for him. If there's competition, if Newcastle are in for him and they've got Champions League, well then no, he's not going to come to us. It depends on who's in for him. So there's a lot of factors I think that you're missing there, mate. And then Red 5, shout out Red 5 as always. I think we need a no nonsense. He says a nonsense defender. I think he means no nonsense. Get a nonsense defender, and we've got one in Mavropanos. He's a nonsense defender. I think we need a no nonsense defender. Another Dawson first, but he would be quality. That's true. Talking about Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Can't see it happening personally. Mixed feelings on whether I'd be happy with him or not. Yeah, I feel the same, Jay. We've got a couple of Paulie Walnuts. John Stones is never coming to us. He's capable of another top six. Well, another top six will probably take him. Arsenal love a cast off, so
I don't see that, to be honest.
Apparently, who is it they want? Nkunku from Chelsea. They love these Chelsea rejects. Yeah, that's what they should make. Instead of the Brentford rejects, they should call themselves the Chelsea rejects. Paulie Walnut says football nowadays is all about recruitment. Otherwise, you get left behind. Yeah, spot on, mate. Spot on.
I think that is a proper case in point with it all, mate. Honestly, you do, and so many teams recruit better than we do.
Shout out to Fortune's Hiding Down Under TV. It's 16 past 5 in the morning. Down there. Good morning, mate. Good morning, mate. Sorry about that accent. It's who we are, mate. Speaking of it's who we are, mate. Great transition. Let's quickly get onto this Graham Potter controversy. That this non-controversy. It's fucking like so ridiculous. Like so in my opinion, you may think different. Get your. Let me share this. Let me show people what it is. I'll actually show what's been said. Oh, sorry, ice cream man. They don't stop till fucking it's pitch black outside.
They're getting in now, mate. So the temperature's meant to drop after tomorrow, I think.
They don't care. They'll still be out around here. Like it was like beginning of March, like end of February. They started coming out.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
All right. Hopefully you can hear it. Let me know. Can you hear that?
Nope.
I might have not put like share with sound or something. Present. Share screen. Oh yeah, I think I've got to click also share tab audio. Share audio.
This is such a seamless link, Dan. Such a seamless link.
Right. All right, we got it.
They've done well in Europe, and they've had a tough season. I'm pretty sure if you speak to Andrew, injuries and young players and the double competition, etc., etc. So, and this league, nothing's forgiven. They've done well in Europe, and hopefully they can finish the job and get into the final. They've had a tough season. I'm pretty sure.
So this bit is the bit people are fucking wetting themselves.
Finish the job and get into the final.
Hopefully they can finish the job and get into the final. Listen, like I said, in my opinion, and I will see what you think, Scott, I think it's a whole load of nothing that people are going, that people are losing their minds about, because, some people say, oh, you shouldn't say anything nice about Spurs. Like, every manager does it. Every single manager goes in. Look at like Liverpool, Man United. Like, they'll go and say, yeah, they've been playing really well. They're a tough opposition. The manager's done well. They all go and big each other up and say nice things. You put them on a pedestal, so it's more impressive when you beat them, or it's like less of bad when they beat you. And go in and say, or add in triumph. Go, you know what? I hope they don't win nothing. Like, at the end of the day, he's saying, and hopefully they get to the final. What he means is, well, hopefully they're hoping. Hopefully for them, when you say hopefully they, I don't think Potter's sitting there going, oh, I hope Spurs get to the final. I don't think he gives two shits, to be honest. No. But he's just doing it's just the inane press conference, fucking manager, say flowery things about the opposition.
Yeah. Yeah, the old mind game sort of rubbish that certain managers and things play. Yeah. Listen, it ain't the end of the world. There's no point having a meltdown over it. He's just turned around and done, like you said, what all other managers do through the Premier League. When teams are on the cusp of a final or get into a final, they sit there and say nice things about them, like you said. But at the end of the day, if they get to the final and they get slapped by Man United, it's going to be even more fun watching them cry, wouldn't it? That's how I look at it.
Exactly. Listen, I'm telling you, I mean exactly. No uncertain terms. I hope Spurs get to the final. I fucking hope they do. I'm praying to the final. And then when they lose, it will hurt even more. And if you don't want that, if you do not want that to happen, I question you as a West Ham fan. Yeah? Don't question the manager if you're a West Ham fan and you hope they go out in the semis instead of getting slapped in the final. Because where's your West Ham credentials then, eh? What does that say about you if you don't want the maximum pain for Tottenham Hotspur and their fan base?
Joe,
look in the mirror.
The mad thing is, though, mate, is that it's crazy. Look, I'm not very much of you want to see English clubs do well. You don't. You want to see your club do well. At the end of the day, they're irrelevant. The competition they're in that competition. We're not in it, so I'm not bothered. All I'm bothered about is what we do on Sunday. Sorry. That's all that's important. Look, as I said, what he said is just the usual spiel that managers and coaches turn around and say when they're asked questions about teams getting into a cup final. I'm sure if you go back to when we were in the final, there was probably managers saying nice things about us or nice things about David Moyes getting into a final and that type of thing. It just happens. It's part and parcel of the football merry-go-round. They don't get, unless you're. This rivalry with Spurs is in my opinion, a lot more modern of a rivalry than it has been. I think that we had more rivalry with Chelsea in the past than what we've got now, than what you're seeing with Spurs. Look, I don't want them to win it. Problem is, I don't want Man United to win it. It's the same thing when they got in the bloody Champions League final. Liverpool or Spurs, who do you want to see win it? Neither of them. But at the end of the day, it was funny watching Tottenham go 1-0 down so early on, and literally their hearts will get broken because it's just it's just fun. This game for them is a nothing game, but they call this our cup final, right? And as I said to you, I say this every time we play Spurs. You ever get access to their forums, right? Have a look at their forums and how much it means for them not to lose to us. Right? They bang on about us. They hate losing to us. Absolutely hate it. And it's just so fun to watch when we actually do it. And He's right. This game on Sunday, mate. It's to see who's the shittest team in London.
Yeah,
That's all it's about. You know, because
that's
one of the
all.
two of us is going to finish the lowest London team, and I pray that it ain't us.
Yeah. That's it. No, we have to go in, and that's all that matters. Like, so people obsessing over, oh, you know, he was too nice about Spurs. Who gives a shit? Focus on what actually happens. That's what I'll be judging him on. And it's one of the things I get it. Like, if you are not happy with the results, you're not happy with Potter, and you question, you know, exactly what he's been doing on the pitch, his tactics, his substitutions. That's fair enough. But it's just that case of, I don't like Potter. I want him out. So anything he does, I'm going to jump on and make a big deal out of as a reason to back up my position. Look, see, we got to get rid of him because he likes Spurs. He likes Spurs. He wants Spurs to get to a final. How dare he? So he must go. Like, judge him by what happens on the pitch. And I think we do need to give him time. However, like Sunday, right now, that's what I want. That's what I care about. Not what you say about Sunday. I don't want to judge you by your words. I judge you by your actions.
Yeah.
And so if we beat Spurs, yes, I'll be happy. But to me, it won't undo a lot. My happiness at beating Spurs will be muted because I'm still fuming of that Brighton game. And to me, if we do beat Spurs, I'll still be looking at okay, you turn up for the big games. You only want to turn up. It just cements it.
Yeah.
Until you can turn up and fucking perform against the teams in and around us, I'm not going to change how I see these players.
Yeah.
I still think a lot of them got to go. I still think there's a lot of them are stealing a living from us. But they owe us this fucking victory on Sunday. They owe us it. They better play like it is a cup final. Never mind what Spurs going and get into a cup final. They better play. I know they say it is our cup final, but it's a cup final in the fact that we need to win. The fan base needs it. Right now, this is a cup final because if we lose this, the morale, the negative, the morale will be at all-time high. The negativity will be at all-time high. It's just a must. I think a must win.
And that's the thing, mate. You are right. You know, after that dire performance against Southampton, you know, and like you said, it is very much at the moment you're sitting there and looking at some of these players, and these players are just turning up for them big games. The big, you know, we saw against Arsenal what we can do, and then we go out and put the performance in against Southampton. You know, and you know Brighton to throw away the lead so late on with the terrible defending that we're seeing, that you know even you can see from Potter's reaction to that game that that's not what he's trying to install in the players. You know, this is a very much the player mentality of doing what they're doing, and like you said, they do raise it for the big games, but that's not important. You know, I know we're safe and we're not going to go down and that type of thing, but you need to be beating the Southamptons. You need to be coming back and getting in a winning position against Brighton. You need to be holding out them sort of, you know, they're getting them sort of results. You know, like you said, if we rock up, and this is the thing now, you don't know what Spurs are going to play. The late goal that they conceded, you know, the fact the team that they're playing, I think someone said today, they've won 30 something of their last 36 games at home. You know, so now Spurs have got rest players. So this is the thing now, and if they do decide to do that, and they do beat us, them players in that starting 11 and possibly manager got to stand up and really look at themselves, because it is embarrassing. You know, you've got an opportunity now to you've got 4 games left. 2 of these games you're playing against 2 teams that potentially could be in the Europa League final. You know, both are going to have more eyes on that than they are on the league game. So they've got
injuries as well. I think Postecoglou have confirmed a few players are missing. It will probably rest some others, because never mind, okay, you're 3-0 up or 3-1 up. I think there are 3-1 up, which is that's a 2-goal lead, which is no confirmation. It only takes Bodo Glimt to get that first goal early. Pressure starts to go. So and even if they were confirmed to be through, They don't want to. This is a derby. This is going to be a physical game. So injuries are more likely in games like this. So even if you're guaranteed to be through to the final, you don't want players to get injured in a game like this and miss the final. Yep. Because at the end of the day, now that is your season. Like, they can't go down. For them to risk players in for like a dead rubber for them, I get it. It's a London derby. You want to win. But at the end of the day, a final is more important. So for us, is no excuses. We're playing like a non-weakened Spurs team have been shit this season. So a weakened Spurs team, there's no excuses. I'm looking to see how we respond when we score. If the mentality is still there, because we know Spurs, what they're going to do. They attack and attack. So how can we deal with that? Are we going to go in our shell just because they throw some numbers at us, or are we going to have some bollocks about us? That's what I want to see.
And that's the thing, mate. And that's what we've got to show. We have got to show some bollocks, because we haven't shown that at all. You know, we've shown this really sort of lackluster, hiding in our shell performances of late. You know, and I said it does worry me when you look at it all, the way things are going with the side, and you know, maybe players do want out the door, but if they want out the door, just drop them. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather see 11 players on that pitch who put the effort in, who try, who play to their best of their abilities and get beat, than seeing some of the shower shit that we're seeing at the minute.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%, mate. Like, it's just. Yeah, honestly, I really want to. It's been so long. Oh, there you go, Scott. You got to mention. Hi, Dan Scott. Hi, Swedish Templar. Guten Tag. Is that no? The Guten Tag ain't Swedish, is it? Oh, fuck. That's German.
It's good afternoon in German.
Yeah. Well, Swedish. I'm sure I used to know a Swedish word. Yeah.
This is the thing, you know. You're looking at some people. Madison's apparently injured. Solanke's apparently injured. You know, you've got to be taking advantage of this situation. You know, you really, really have. But as I said, I want to see a decent level of performance from all of our players this game. Manchester United, Forest, and Ipswich, not just the Tottenham and Man United games because it's Tottenham and Man United. You know, this is the thing. And I sat there and said the shittest team in London, the shittest team in the Premier League in London. That's the thing I was getting at. You know, there's plenty of other sides below us in London.
Oh yeah. But our fans seem to fucking beat us the way we are now.
It. You know, and this is the thing, is that let's just get the job done on Saturday. Let's not worry about what Graham Potter said and what he does. You know, as I said, it'll all be forgotten so long as we win that game on Sunday, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like I said, I won't forget the players and the way they've responded at Brighton, but I'll enjoy it and I'll be happy. And I'll be looking to see how we finish out the season, because it's just not been good enough. It's absolutely been unacceptable. So yeah, I don't know what people in the chat thinks, if they about Potter's comments. There's another interesting thing. I love that he come out and told the journalists, like, I don't care what you think. Like, I've gotten to the stage of my life where I don't care what you people think. They're talking about the journalists, and he's like, and he made such a good point, because he's like, if you know, I 1 minute I'm too nice, you all say I'm too nice. Then the minute I come out and say how I feel, I'm too emotional. So I'm done caring about what the journalists think about me. I'm just going to be me. And if I'm pissed off with a result, I'm unhappy with a result, I'm going to come out and say it and tell with what you think about it. And I was like, yeah, spot on, mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing, mate. When you look at how he come out with at that interview, you know, and he always said he's always trying to take the positive out of things and stuff like that. That weren't a thing to sit there and take the positives out of. You've just thrown away a lead in the space of 10 minutes. You know, when you're desperate to get some points and just try and clamber yourself. But as I said, we was in that mini little league with Everton, United, and Spurs. That's how we've got to look at it. That's defining our season, where we finish in this little mini league. And That's what I want to see from my manager. I don't want him. I want him to take the positives that he can look at when they're on the training field and stuff like that. But when we play badly or do something badly like that, I want him to come out and say, "Yeah, it's not good enough," because it's not good enough. We'll sit there and know it. A bit of honesty from the players, and like you said, from the manager. Sorry, like you said, at the end of the day, I learned a long time ago. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They're nothing to you. And the journalists are journalists. They're always fishing for a story. They're always fishing for a headline. And that's the right thing to turn around and say. Don't be bothered by what they think. Be honest. Be true to yourself. If you're not happy with something, come out and say, "Yeah, I ain't happy with that. I ain't happy with the player." Say it to the players, because the players need to start getting a bit of honesty. It was nice the other week to see Fulcrum coming out with a bit of honesty. Standing up and sitting there and having a bit of honesty about him, saying it ain't good enough. Because it's not been good enough. We know it as fans. We all say it as fans. It ain't good enough. They need to start taking more responsibility.
It would have just annoyed me if he come out talking about positives and shit like that. Like, I hated it that last season under Moyes. We get slapped like 6-0, and that fucking twat Pritchard interviewing Moyes used to go, "Boss, tough one, but we played all right in times, didn't we, boss? We did, boss. Yeah. Didn't we do well in the first half, boss? Was unlucky today, boss. Like, fuck off, like." So we don't want to hear it, and he's right, because the media will rile up. They will beg for that headline, that talking point. They will beg you to come out and be animated and say, "Phil," and then the minute you do, they'll slaughter you for it. So, like, they don't want managers to be robotic and give PR talking points, but when they don't and they start being themselves, they just rip into them. And it's the same with players, like Fulkrug, like that. You think they would love that? Like, oh wow, like, and players actually saying how it is. All the opinion pieces, slating him, all the media journalists. "Oh, he shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't do this." It's like, well, what do you want? Do you want the headlines? Do you want the managers and the players to come out and say how they really feel and what it really is? And so you can get more interest in your articles, or do you want them to be PR media trained robots? Because you slate them either way, so they can't win. So why should they give a shit what the journalists think? Why should they respect the journalists? I don't respect them.
No. And that's exactly it, mate. That's exactly the thing, and the problem with the media over here, mate, is they're always looking to tear people down. Always looking to tear people. Always have been. You sat there, you go all the way back to Euro 96. We've done a great job. First thing they're looking to do is tear down Terry Venables. Glenn Hoddle comes in, does a decent job. Let's try and pull him apart, tear him down. And they did. And that's just the typical media in this country. They want people to foul just so they get their headlines. There's a reason why many people don't read newspapers anymore. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly, mate. There's honestly scumbags a lot. So listen, I like I said, it's refreshing to see, but ultimately, like I said, what managers say doesn't matter. We just want to see what's on the pitch. So like I said, it's and I've said this before. This brings on to Summervile. I think our season would be different if Summervile was fit. We spoke quite a bit about on this show about his sort of refusal to have surgery. Right, the club wanted him to have surgery, and he didn't want to have it. He wanted it to heal naturally. Now he's gone in for the surgery. We might not see him until like September, late August, September. And I think the club are a bit annoyed because if he'd had the surgery earlier, the time frame for his recovery would have been a lot quicker. The fact that he's left it so long and then had the surgery, it's massively delayed things. And they felt like he should have just went. I get it. You want to try and heal it on its own, but then you end up having the surgery anyway. It's really frustrating, and I rate him as a player. I just worry that he's just going to be one of them players for us that just can't stay fit. I'm really concerned. He's a young player, pacey, has a lot to his game.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Antonio and what he was able to do to overcome his injury problems. The problem is yes, he was able to do that, but he was never quite the same player afterwards. That once he went through what he went through, to whatever he did to sort of lessen those injuries, he just wasn't the same explosive, pacey player. And I worry for Summervile that he's not going to be the same. Like I said, he's a young player. And he's either going to be one of the players that's injured constantly, or he's not going to be the same. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we get to see for a whole season the glimpses we've seen this season, because I think he is a talent, but it's frustrating.
No, but it's very frustrating, mate, because at the end of the day, he would have been a breath of fresh air that we needed. He, whatever the reasons were, he didn't have the surgery. The fact that he's gone and now had it, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth to us as fans, because we were excited. He played that first half against Villa under, the first game under Potter. He played the first half. He looked absolutely phenomenal. He looked a completely different player to what we were seeing when we were playing under Lopetegui. Gets the injury, is advised to have surgery, chooses not to. Oh, sorry, no, he got re-injured, didn't he? He was on the process of coming back, got re-injured. Then he gets advised to have surgery, chooses not to. Now, apparently, so because he took so long to have surgery, it's more complicated than it was, and that's why he's going to be out. And it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, for me, because I was on his side with the fact if he wants it to heal naturally, it's his body, his decision. But if you then change your mind again and decided now you want the surgery and it's messed us up even more, we've just paid you to just basically be injured for half the season. Like we used to do with Andy Carroll, like we used to do with Antonio. And, you should have took the option when it was there in the first place to get yourself back. That's the thing. It's what's really pissed me off about it. The fact that now we're not going to see him till September. So we're then running the risk that, was the operation successful? Like you said, Dan, will he be the same player now? He's probably got, if you look at Antonio, when Antonio finally sorted his hamstring problem out, he was a lot older. So he's got youth on his side in that sense. But we needed something this season. It would have been great to have him back for the last month or so of the season. Just to give us that something different, something that we've been missing. Something, he's another player that gets the ball and runs at players that we don't see often enough.
As Alex said, that first half against Villa, the one me and you watched together, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't overstate how good he was, not just offensively, but tackling players twice his size.
Mm-hmm.
He was bullying them off the ball and things like that. So it's such a shame. And the other thing is, look, even if he comes back and is fit, if he's coming back to September, just know he's not having a preseason. So if he's fit and available for selection in September, he won't be up to speed till like October.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very long road ahead.
Yep.
And we're going to have to plan without it. We need a left winger.
Yep.
We're going to need one. I mean, even if he was fit, we need depth anyway. But we're going to need someone that could be our first choice, which means, he drops down the pecking order until he can prove he can stay fit and contribute.
Mm-hmm.
It's so frustrating to when we have players like this. We've done it over the years so many times. You see a player and you think, oh my God, if he could just stay fit, imagine. It's so, I hate it when we get in these situations,
And that's it, mate. And that's what does you in, because it could be a key component next season. If you look at it, if Kudus is going out the door and Paquetá, another one going out the door, that opens up spaces for him, and he can cement himself into the side. And he's just knocked his career back as well. That's what he's done with not getting this sorted sooner, because he's put himself back a season. It's like you said, he's going to come in like a new signing past the transfer window. And it's going to be very hard to build a side going forward because you don't know whether he's going to recover. You don't know whether he's going to be the same sort of player. So then, like you said, you're then having to recruit into a position that wasn't really a priority for a recruitment. And that's the thing for us now is that do we just hope that he's going to be fit and sort of shoehorn a player in, or hope that George Murphy, comes back from his loan spell and hits the ground running next season on that left-hand side? This is the problem that we've got now.
Yeah, that's it. So let's, like I said, for me, it's all to the summer and it's all to do because, mate, the work we need to do, and we're going to need to sign some gems because I think we're going to have a tough time attracting top ambitious players. So it's going to be, it's just going to be a case of get the gems, find these players before they become the superstars.
Yeah, that's always hard to do, mate. That's always hard to do, because there is so many other clubs out there now looking to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Quick thing, actually, this is so Lopetegui's the manager for Qatar. This is the guy, and listen, he seems like a great guy, Lopetegui, but this sums us up, right? So the guy we've just signed, no top club, no other big club in the world was trying to get him. No other club in the top league in Europe wanted Lopetegui. He has ended up as the international manager of Qatar. This is the guy that we decided was going to be in charge of our rebuild, our new project. We are an absolute joke of a club. It sums us up, doesn't it?
It does, mate. It really, really does.
Good luck to him. I hope he does well. I really do. But it shows exactly where we are as a club. Another little quick bit of news: West Ham have signed a deal with New Balance for to take over not next season, the season after 2026-27 season. Next season, with the last season, we have an Umbro kit. We turned down a deal with, is it Casserole? Casserole?
Casserole?
What is that? They used to do Villa's kit.
I ain't got a clue, mate.
What is that?
I've never heard of them before.
I only heard of them. They did Villa's kit before Villa signed a deal with Adidas. Yeah. New Balance, obviously, they used to do Liverpool's kits before Liverpool went to Nike. Newcastle kit. And it's just one of them. Yeah, they've done some nice kits. I think they've done Celtic. I think they've done Celtic as well. Castor, that's it. Castor. That's it. Yeah, they did. They did Villa's kit before Villa went Adidas. Listen, I'm happy just for someone new to come in and give. I think we've just gone as far as we can with Umbro. I think they did some good. They did some decent kits this season, to be fair. But it'd be nice to just see what someone else can do with a West Ham kit. Do you know what I mean? What someone else can come up with. And this is a new one. We've never had New Balance. So no balance. That is that's what we should have on our shirt. No balance. Listen, it would be nice if we could have got Adidas, but I think New Balance as a brand in 2025 is an upgrade on Umbro.
Yeah,
I think it's more.
The thing is, I think don't Adidas own Umbro, and that's why I think didn't Adidas buy out Umbro and then just kept the brand going type of thing. I'm sure there's something along them lines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's because Reebok are owned by someone else as well. But they still produce Reebok, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, Reeboks, and Reebok. There was a point in the 90s, early 2000s, where Reebok was quite cool. It was like
Reebok. Everyone had Reebok Classics.
Reebok Classics, and it's just you don't hear about Reebok anymore. Like it's just
they're still going, mate. They're still there.
I know they're still going, but they're not like the in thing. Do you know what I mean? Not like all the kids ain't wearing Reeboks. I don't see.
Oh yeah, Adidas own Reebok. There you go. So it must be Nike who own Umbro.
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Nike kits. I think a lot of them are just plain and uninspired. So,
That'd be
so yeah,
interesting. Like you said, a new kit company. Hopefully, they come up with some fresh ideas because I think a lot of our kits have been very, very. I know most of our kits are very similar, but we've been very hit and miss with the kits. I think under Umbro. You know, I like this season's third shirt. I do like that with the bow bells in it. I think that's quite a nice top.
It's still fucking. It just pisses me off when we finally win a trophy. It's in that shitty orange, hotter the furnace kit with the pixelated flames on it. I'm so annoyed that that's become like an iconic kit because we've won a trophy. Like, you look at all the trophy wins, like the 1980 white kit, you know, and obviously the classic claret and blues of years gone past, and that is up there.
Yeah,
I'll never forgive Umbro for that. Awful kit, absolutely awful. That is the second worst one to that one from last season. Oh, yeah. I've lost. You know the one. You know the London Stadium branded blue Chelsea blue one.
Oh, the one I've got.
Oh yeah, I would rather wear the orange one than that. That corporate London Stadium branded one. Awful kit. So that's the word. What is the best third kit? I'm trying to remember what now. Going over the years, what was third kit? What was away kit? Because we've had some nice black ones.
Yeah, do you know what? The black kits always turn out really nice. They're I'm sure that weren't an away shirt black, was it? That was the third kit as well.
We have had a black. I think we've had a black away and a black third.
Yeah.
We had the purple one that became popular years later.
Yeah, I like the one we've got now. I like that one with the bow bells on it. I think it's quite a nice third kit, that one.
Yeah. That one I think is proper good. Trying to just we had do you remember this the one the sort of purpley one with the claret slit and blue sleeves?
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
Fredrickson rocking that 21-22 season. Oh yeah, the Haller purple one, yeah. When we announced Haller. I like that one. Remember the purple? It had like pink strips on it. 2019-2020.
Hold on. Gotta check this out.
I never had it. I never got it, but I kind of liked it. We've had some shit third kits over the years. Oh, the black and gold. Yes, black and gold one. That was good.
The purple one wasn't that bad.
No, that purple one, was all right. Yeah. No,
I have to say. The 17-18 third kit weren't bad either.
17-18. What was that?
That's the one with the collar and the do up. Yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah. That was good. A few people had that. It was a smart one. Yeah, for me, it has to be the black and gold one.
Yeah, black and gold one was nice.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that one. You mean?
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah. That's decent. But I like this season's one. I do like this season's third kit.
Yeah. No, I think they've done well. We're bigging it up and we're like, piss off, bro. They've got to leave on a higher, mate. They can either do you know what? We're done with West Ham, so we'll just give them some generic shit. Or they can go, right, we're going to leave on a high. I hope they leave on a high.
Be good. It will be good.
Yeah. Purple one is rare and worth money now. Just goes to show, like, some of my kits I've got rid of. I shouldn't get rid of kits. You just never know.
All my ones are in the loft. I wear them. I keep wearing them for a couple of years afterwards, and then they go in the loft.
Yeah. It's good to keep them. So you know what? I just want to talk about this. Scott alluded to it. I'll show a little bit of this. Bournemouth's training facility, and this we'll relate this to West Ham because we've got a few things to say about it. So let's give you all a little look at the Bournemouth training facility. I won't bother pissing about with the audio. You don't have to worry about it. It's there you go. You can see it over the water. Big car park. It looks fancy.
Mm-hmm. Very fancy.
Really gone mad with the drone on this one. Oh wow! Nah, that was virtual. It's not a drone. It's virtual. Obviously, it's not built yet. I'm singing it real. Look at that. I mean, that looks very fancy.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the press conference room there.
which is
Not a
pretty
porta
standard.
cabin in sight.
No.
Oh, a bit of a bendy, windy hallway. Changing room. Cool, look at that. This looks like it could be a fucking proper stadium. Like
Yeah.
this. Oh, look, we're in there. All the boots. This is, and here we go. We're coming out to, well, this is again the car park. Where's the actual pitch? Down here. So they come down here. Proper this.
It's not going to walk to the pitch, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit.
Remind me of days playing over anal.
Look at that. Still like all this. It looks proper. It looks proper.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Someone said the color scheme's boring. Yeah. I mean, it's not all. They could have maybe gone add a bit more colors to it, but it still looks elite. It looks like a proper top level training facility. So there you go. And this is the thing. You know, West Ham, we're still Porta Cabin FC. We're still same old shit. Oh shit! Where's me? Where's the thing gone? Yeah, we're still still the same old crap at West Ham. Like we haven't bothered. And look, they're a club with an 11,000 seater stadium. They're obviously going to upgrade that, but the size of
their training facility is better than their stadium.
Yeah, it is. It is, and this is the thing. Like you got Leicester, and I know, Leicester got relegated, and it's not. But as a club, we should be striving, like you said, the 17th richest club in the world. We have ambitions of being a regular European club and one of the top clubs. We should be aiming to have some of the best facilities going.
Yep.
We lucked out on not having to buy and pay for a stadium. We haven't had to spend our money to build a stadium. We've saved all that money. So we rent. So why can't we have top level facilities? Why are we still in like geography classrooms?
Yeah. And that's the thing, mate. It's just cheap. It's just cheap. Yeah. It was a cheap rebuild. When they done Rush Green up, it was a cheap rebuild. You know, and that's the thing about it. It just screams typical of what we've got in the ballroom. You know, and this is the problem. You can't listen. A training ground doesn't make that much of a big difference, but when you think about the amount of time the players have to spend at the training ground compared to the stadium, you know, if you're working in a nice office, it's better, you know, you feel more relaxed going into that office than you do if it's a crappy building that's falling to pieces. You know, and this is the thing, it just, for a Premier League club, and you know, we are an established Premier League club, that you've got to have better than that. You've got to have better than that. And you know, it just, at the end of the day, like you said, Leicester have got a brilliant one. They've just been relegated. You know, it's not the be all and the end all, but to make you more of an attractive prospect, have a decent training facility.
Yeah,
you know, because when you're selling the club to a player, you're selling the whole club.
Yeah.
You know, and the training facility is part of the club. Like I said, that's where they are every day or every other day, whatever it is, the amount that they train. You know, that's where they've got to be more comfortable, more relaxed.
Yeah, this is, and we've said that on this show for years and years and years. The importance, because, like you said, they're there more than they're at the stadium. This is where they spend their time, so they want the best facilities. And you go to a club, and now you look at Bournemouth, and you look at West Ham's facilities. They're going to look, who looks like the bigger club? Bournemouth do. Like, they go to that and they go and sit there and they do the meetings. They're like, wow, okay, yeah, this looks proper from what I'm come to. And then they go, right, I've got to meet with West Ham. Oh, right, what the fuck's this? It looks tin pot. And, you know, the thing is, people always used to, some people used to say, well, you know, if we spend money in a new stadium, we can't have signings. What do you want? Do you want signings or do you want a new training facility? And the thing is with that is Sullivan doesn't stick his hand in his pocket for anything. What we spend on transfers is the club's money or if there's investment from a Kretinsky when he's put money in and things like that. We've spent that. So there is no reason David Sullivan can't stick his hand in his pocket if he is a fan and he does care and he does want to see this club succeed and build us a new training facility, because I'm pretty sure that don't come into FFP. Like, if we can spend 100 million on a training facility and it doesn't count towards our PSR and FFP, because what we're doing is actually investing in something that's worth of money. We're not buying players. So we should be able to have a healthy transfer window, which we're spending the money the club generates through being in the league, TV, all of that, season tickets, player sales, right? We should be able to have over £100 million transfer window and spend 100 million on a new training facility. There's no reason we can't have both. One's the club's money, one's Sullivan's money. Sullivan does not stick his hand in his pocket, the so-called West Ham fan. He don't stick his hand in his pocket for this club. No, and we should demand more.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Yep. That's the problem, mate. And this is what it says. It just reeks cheap. Everything, and this is the look. I'm not sitting here and saying we haven't spent money on players, but like you said, it's West Ham's money, right? Yeah. But everything about us is cheap.
Yeah. That's Matt Rainey's there himself. Yeah.
And perfectly right. London Stadium, cheap decor, temporary stickers, porta cabins for a training facility, cheap. And this is the thing. You again, 17th richest club in the world.
Yeah,
and you've probably got look at them 16 teams above us. Look at their training facilities. Look at the stature of their club compared to ours. And this is the thing.
The one club that we could compete with for shittest training facilities was Newcastle, and they was having them in them wheelie bins. But they've long since upgraded So we are in danger of getting left behind by other clubs, because they're all either moving into new purpose-built stadiums, or developing their football stadiums into bigger football grounds. Right, all of them. Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle, Villa have got a really good ground. It would have surprised me if they try and extend it. So all these different clubs have got purpose-built football grounds that they're either expanding or building a new purpose-built football ground. We are the only club in the Premier League with a crappy athletic stadium that's not suitable for football. The only one. So we have a shit stadium, shit training facilities, and right now a shit squad and a shit owner. So we are majorly in danger of being left behind in this football league, and it is getting harder and harder each year for the league, and more competitive. We're seeing that with what Fulham has been able to do, what Bournemouth's been able to do, what Brentford have been able to do, and now those clubs are going to start being more of an attractive prospect. Because what do we have? We have London. Well, Fulham and Brentford have London.
No, that's the thing, mate. You are right in what you're saying. It is the attractiveness of the thing. And, you're sitting here languishing in 17th position in the league. These clubs are more attractive now. You've got Fulham knocking on the door of Europe, a place where we've been that we've now let ourselves drop out of. Due to certain poor management, poor recruitment, and it's going to be an interesting transfer window coming in the summer, mate. I really do feel that is, we're going to end up paying over the odds for players or over the odds wages because of the situation that we find ourselves in at the minute. And the unfortunate thing is that's what we're going to have to step up and do. And as well as I do, we can't trust the hierarchy to do what needs to be done.
No, and that's the thing that I was so encouraged. I was never fully optimistic with Sullivan like that. I always had that back in my ball, Sullivan, but I was encouraged that when we brought in Steidson, even if you don't like Steidson, the idea of the position that Steidson held, right? Finally, we're getting serious people to come in and make like football people making football decisions. I was so encouraged by that. And they didn't even give it like a full year, really.
Yeah.
It was like, didn't get a full like transfer window. Like this last summer was the first summer where he had complete control.
Mhm.
And by January, he was gone. So we didn't even give it any significant time. And they've decided not to replace his role. And we're just going back to Sullivan doing everything. It's so frustrating because no other club has that. We've got so many disadvantages that we place on ourselves because we should have every advantage because we are like one of the richest clubs in London. We do have a big fan base. We do have lower overheads because of the deal we've got with the stadium.
Yep.
We are in London in a good location, Stratford. We've got so much going for us that it's like we don't just take the wins. We have to give ourselves handicaps. And that's what it is. So I'm concerned for the next season. For me, it's all on the recruitment. Moyes was successful in spite of David Sullivan, and Graham Potter is going to have to do the same.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, mate, the recruitment's got to be on point. But you've got to, we can't go down this route of, if the rumours are true, 2 players being Startons, 2 players being the managers, 2 players being Sullivans. There was a comment earlier, going back to the John Stones thing. John Stones has got the same agent as Summervile. And this is the thing. Are we just going to get players off of the same agents who are mates with Sullivan, who do deals with Sullivan? This is the thing. And like we are standing still. We are. We didn't really progress after the Conference League win. That was a typical standstill moment, and we ended up going backwards. And now we've fallen even more backwards. And let's be honest, we can all sit here and say it. If it weren't for the fact that 3 teams are 10 times worse than what we are, we'd be down. And that's how you got to look at it. And it's West Ham as a history has always had, poor seasons, good seasons. There's never been that consistency of, we've been good for X amount of period and then we have this bad season. Normally we have all right seasons, a good season, then a really bad season. It seems to be the trend that we continuously go. So, hopefully next season now we start to bounce back, which we need to do. Because let's be honest, if we start next season the way we are now, we're going to be in a dogfight from day one.
Yeah,
100%. Even with the sides that are coming up.
100%, mate. Carl says, hi, Dan. I think Man City's was an athletic stadium for the Commonwealth Games. Love it in the show. Yeah, it was, mate. I did think someone would point that out. However, the reason why I don't put them in the same bracket as us, because they converted it into a proper football stadium.
Well, if you actually go back to when it was being designed, they designed it with football in mind because they saw a use for the stadium once I think it was the Commonwealth Games had gone. Unfortunately, because you had some bloke sitting on the committee who was like, no, it's just going to be an athletic stadium. We don't need anything else, thinking that athletics is one of the biggest sports in this country when it's not.
Delusional Sebco,
yeah, and the good thing for athletics is he's not going to be running it, which is what we all want to see. But at the end of the day, it's his fault and the other people that were on that board at the time designing it. Why we've been not lumbered because we chose to take it over, but why the taxpayer and you're unfortunately, Dan, you're a London borough, so you're paying your council tax towards paying off that stadium. So you do have an opinion on it. I'm in London. Well, my mum did live in London, obviously. They've lived in London. They were paying it. So technically, it's a Londoner's stadium. You're all paying for it. All you that live in London, and you're still paying for it. And because of that one person's, what's the word to use? Really,
delusion and selfishness.
Yeah. You're lumbered with a stadium that, let's be honest, if we hadn't took it over, would sit there rotting.
Exactly. It would be, as they call it, a
White elephant.
A white elephant. That's it. I was thinking dead elephant, white rhino, whatever. Yeah, exactly, mate. So yeah, like, you know, we could have had something that like Man City's one. It's just you go in there and someone put the picture up. I think it was like I think on the Bournemouth training facilities. Like, well, look at us, look at our stadium, and it showed the big gap between the lower and the upper stand, that big tarpaulin stuff, the big thing there, and it's just I was thinking about, and we complained about it a lot, and I was just really thinking about like how crap the stadium is, like just how awful it is as for football. Like I said, you've been there to see the Foo Fighters, Scott. You said it's great for music, live music. I'm sure it's good for athletics.
Nick and Graham have been there to watch the baseball. Graham turned around and said it works so much better as a baseball stadium. I went and watched. I want to go and see with my boy Monster Jam. You know, it's great watching monster trucks driving around the pitch and all that. You know, it works well for that. It's a good stadium, just not for football.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's the thing that's so frustrating. And people have been sharing the quotes from like all the things Sullivan said about it, how it's going to be, you know, just like Wembley. It's going to be a new Wembley and all of this stuff. And I just think like everything about this club under Sullivan is so tin pot and cheap and just naff, for want of a better word. Everything we do, you know, for the most part. And it's an embarrassment as a club that wants to have ambitions and designs of growing. And you look how other clubs do it, it's frustrating. So yeah, there is always a worry about us getting left behind. You got Leeds and Bournemouth coming up. Leeds as well, they're expanding Elland Road. They're going to be building
big fan base.
Yeah. So if Leeds can stabilize, expand there, I think they expand it to like 60,000. They're turning it into a 60,000 seat Elland Road. They're staying where they are, expanding it, and if they do that, they could be a club as well that leapfrogs us.
Yep. Yeah.
We've so many clubs come up, like Forest, Villa, Newcastle, were all in the Championship when we was in the Premier League.
Yep.
And they all come up and have either got Champions League football or have actually come close to getting it. Forest may get it. If Forest get it, that will be 3 clubs that were in the Championship when we was in the Prem who have got Champions League football and we haven't. So all this stuff about, West Ham, you could never, there's 5 places like lately. If we were serious, we could. Why can't we? If they can get it, why? But they've leapfrogged us.
And that's the thing, mate. And that's where it's about being consistent. You know, we had 3 seasons of European football. You know, and that was the most consistent that we've been with in Europe. You know, and this is the thing where we've then gone backwards because, like you said, you know, that season when we got into Europa League, the first season, and then we were pushing, you know, to try and keep up. You know, we didn't do the right things in January. How many times have we not done the right moves in January when we've got that opportunity to push that one step further? I think if you look when we qualified for Europa League in the first season, I'm sure there was a point in January where we're like, we need a striker. If we go and get a striker, we're going to make that extra step. And same as in the Conference League, when we were still, you know, we were still fighting on 2 fronts. We were trying to get into Europe via the league, but also trying to get into that final. You know, and again, January come, we didn't take that opportunity. The season when we got knocked out Europa League, again, January come, we had an opportunity. We had the chance to go and sign players to take that next step forward. We choose not to. And we've stood still and stood still and stood still. And like you said, mate, other teams over the top, leapfrog. And we've just dropped down and down and down and down. And it is now, as I said earlier, it's down and down and down. There's only one place to go unless you pull your fingers out and get it sorted. And that will be down. And then you become the biggest laughing stock in English football to have a stadium the size that we've got and to be playing in the Championship.
Yeah. And that is the problem is Sullivan like I said, learns all the wrong lessons because one time he decides to hand over control to someone else. One summer, one transfer window, he fully hands over control to Stites. And I don't know how much fully is because we end up a lot with Taggy, but more than he's done. And the season doesn't go according to plan. And immediately, rather than go, okay, maybe I have question marks over Stites, maybe we need to get someone else in, replace him. His thing is to go back to him controlling the transfers and being in charge. Yeah. And look how that's worked out. And there's a saying: if you only ever do what you've always done, you'll only ever get what you've always got. And that is the thing. We just go backwards. That is a backward step. There's no plan or idea to try and, grow, progress, do something new, see what the top clubs are doing. And we just have to wait until, he's sold up or is too old to run the club anymore and he has to get out.
The thing is, you look at Joe's comment now, and I'll get it up, right? The stadium isn't an issue when you're winning. The stadium's always been an issue. It's just easier to go over there when you're seeing not even decent football, when your team's winning. This thing, the stadium's always been shite. From day one, the stadium weren't a good football stadium from day one. Yeah. It's easier to go over there when you're performing well. It's one of them. It's one of them European nights and the 3 seasons of European football papered over the cracks. The cracks have always been there, but it's like when you apply a fresh coat of paint over a crack, it disappears for a couple of days and then pops back up.
Yeah, exactly. When you're winning, right, you want to enjoy the fact that you're winning. You don't want to sit there and focus on negatives. Like you're winning games of football, and if we come on here, right, and we've just say we've been on a winning streak, we're 5th in the league, and you hear us sitting there going, "Fucking stadium shit, innit?" Like no one wants to do that when you're winning because you want to enjoy it, and you can't enjoy it if you're focused on them. It's still a negative. It's still not a good stadium. It's still a poor experience for a match day in terms of the football experience. Yeah, the experience is better when you're winning. Of course, it fucking is because everyone's happy. But it's still a shit stadium. We just don't want to focus on how shit it is when we are winning games of football. The same way, like there's loads of negatives. You don't see us talking about the training facilities and saying how shit that is when we're winning because we want to enjoy the win. We don't want to focus on the
It's very much the thing he went with Sullivan. The discontent with Sullivan didn't go away just because we were winning. When you look at the things that Nicky's had said about Sullivan and all that, like we've always said, when things are bad, we're going to criticise. When someone does something good, we're going to turn around and say something good. During them European times, we did back the manager. We did pay the money. We did do that. And as much as it's not his money, like you were saying earlier, then they still released the purse strings to go and do that, right?
Yeah.
So you praise them for that. But then, again, when things are going wrong and you're looking at the appointment of managers and things like that, they're the ones at the top. They're the ones making decisions. They're the ones that you have to blame. So you can't, we can't sit here and go, Sullivan bad all the time. When he does something right and when he does something good, you have to give him a bit of praise. Exactly no different to when we sit there and talk about footballers playing a game. Player plays well, he played well. Player plays bad, you criticise. And that's where you've got to be objective, especially when you're looking at things like that. Especially with the players. You can't just have this, and a lot of fans do, they hate a particular player. And even if that player does really well, they'll still hate on that player.
Yeah.
Instead of being objective with it all.
That's it. Well, this is it. And, listen, I've criticised Souček a lot. Love him as a person. I've criticised him. But I've been happy when he stepped up, and I'm happy for him. That it just brings me on to Souček is there has been talks about him wanting to stay at West Ham. He's been linked with a move to Everton. He would like a new contract at West Ham. And I'm not massively opposed to it, really. We're going to be getting rid of a lot of football players, right? So ultimately, I think there's a point where we need to move on from Souček being the main man in the midfield. I do think there's certain things he lacks on the ball. However, if we're going to be getting rid of so many players, we need some players that have been here a while, that know the club, that there's a transition, because you change too much too soon. Just clear everyone out and then get a whole load of new faces in. You know, he done quite well, I think, with the armband. And as long as he's not getting a pay rise and it is just to extend his time at the club, I'm open to it, unless Everton are going to offer more than 15 million. If Everton offers significant money, then I'm like, see you later. Like, sorry, mate.
Yeah, of course.
Love having you there. But he seems like a great bloke, great person to have around the club. He'll always give his all, as limited as in situations, and he can pop up with a goal. So, like I said, as much as I've criticised him and like things that he lacks and he's limited in, I'm open to giving him a new contract under those conditions.
Yeah. Mate, I'm with you. Look, me and you have always had a bit of a thingy, where we sit together and talk about Souček. But listen, as like you said, he has his downfalls with some of his ability, but he's been an important component in, keeping us in the Premier League this season, in getting us to where we did in Europe as well. He's popped up with some really, really important goals. And he just comes across such a great guy. I say this a lot about the detachment of modern day footballers and to the fans. He's one of them people that's not got that detachment. He stops at the gates to sign autographs and things like that. Doesn't try and disappear out the back gate. Doesn't try and just drive through or drive past without even a wave type thing. And more footballers should look at players like Thomas Souček and how they interact with fans and stuff like that, and take it upon themselves, because the detachment between Premier League footballers and fans is massive. Because these Premier League footballers, they earn so much money, they forget that without the paying public who watch football, they're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. Because what's the point of pulling on a shirt, going to play football, if you haven't got fans paying the money, whether it's inside the stadium, whether it's the money you pay for your TV subscriptions to watch the TV and watch the games on the telly? Without us, you're not earning the big money because there's no attraction there. So you're sitting there earning more money in a week that some of us earn in 2 or 3 years. Just take 5 minutes to pull up at a gate and get out your car and sign some autographs for a couple of kids that idolise you and see you as their hero.
Yeah. Me and Nicky had it. We was there like at the training ground, and the amount of players that drove past. Adrian was the one that stopped, and he was brilliant. And you had a couple, you had a few that would just drive past, and there's little kids there. So listen, like, like you said, mate, it's good to have those sort of players, like, because we've got an influx right now of players that aren't that way, that are just big time Charlies, that are all about the money and the big games. And you need those players that will always give it their all, no matter who you're playing, no matter if you're playing fucking Liverpool or you're playing Stoke. They're always going to give their all. Like I said, even if they are limited, I would rather have players that aren't as talented, but can give it their all each week. Effort. They always say effort beats hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. And 100%. That's true.
100%, mate. And that is the key factor. That is the key factor. When the chips are down, a lot of the time your talent goes missing, and you rely on the hard workers to get you through the tough times.
Yeah, exactly. So, listen, I'm not against it. Like I said, the finances have to be right. If Everton want to offer 15 million, we tell them to piss off. And, if, like I said, he's not looking for some serious wage increase, then, But obviously, look, what is he? He's 30. Is he 32?
Not too sure.
I think he's 32, isn't he? Is he 30? He might be 30.
I'm sure Summervile 32 and he's 30, I think, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, he's 30. Yeah, he just turned 30. So listen, I'd give him like a 2-year deal. Maybe. It's
worth it because, like you said, he's he'll be a decent squad player. There'll be games where he'll be effective, and that again comes down to the man management, and team management. You look at things right. You've got to have your plan A, your plan B. Souček makes a great plan B. You know, that's how you got to look. You need a goal. He's the man that normally pops up for it.
That's what I mean. You stick him on. You go direct, and So, like I said, we'll see if Moyes really wants him. Then
pay the money.
Slap down the money. Yeah, listen, you know, I think give him that contract extension anyway, because even if you do, doesn't mean we can't sell him. It just means that, you know, we've got him on with our bargaining power is stronger because his contract is longer. Yeah. So, you know, we expect a bit more. I think this must be the last year of his contract then.
I think it is. I think he's only got one more year left. So it'd be you know, that's the one. That's why, you know, it's whether they want to cash in on him or
2027 his contract is.
Oh, right, okay.
What's the point in giving him a new contract? I know, listen, he would. Football Insider revealed that West Ham could accept £10 million offers for Souček. Oh,
that's madness. That's madness. Tell him he's
10
worth
million.
more than that. He's worth more than that.
Do
you know what?
Million, mate.
That screams what you keep saying, mate. How bad we are at selling players. You know, that we accept 10 million for Souček.
Yeah. I can't really think of any players that you sit there and go, wow, we did well. There's not many. Like I said this before. Andre Ayew, I thought getting our money back for him was good. And we kind of sold Flynn Downs for a decent fee. Nothing, you know, earth-shattering. But, like, that was all right. Apart from that, I can't think of any players that I sat there and went, bloody hell, we've done good business with that sale.
Yeah, exactly.
We just undersell everyone. Really all the time. Like, it frustrates the life out of me because when I see other clubs, when we try and buy players, we spent £40 million on Max Kilman. £40 million on fucking Max Kilman, mate. If Wolves can sell Max Kilman for £40 fucking million, surely we can sell Souček for more than 10 million. Surely.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I get so hit when I think about it, and I think about how we get mugged off time and time again. But when it comes to us, which I do not know how David Sullivan is a billionaire, because one of the things in business, one of the core principles is buy low, sell high. He does the opposite. He buys high and sells low.
Yeah.
How is he a billionaire? Every time. It's fucking frustrates the life out of me, man. No wonder we are in the state we're in, mate, when you've got shambles like that. It's, oh my God. There's certain times where and then I think about something, it just gets me hot. It really does. Because I just think, you know, listen, Kilman, I think there's a good player in there, but I don't think there's a £40 million centre back in there.
No, and that was the thing. We paid over the odds because Lopetegui wanted him, and I don't think Wolves really wanted to sell.
Yeah, well, this is it. But instead of like saying, "Nah, fuck it, we're not going to get mugged off," we'll back our new manager and give him a player, and then our new manager that's gone fucking 6 months later, not even that. From when we signed him, that is, we've spent now. Tadebo's signed 75 million on 2 centre backs that have not had the best. I think Tadebo's a talent, but overall, when you look at what we've spent and what we've got, my God, 75 million.
Kilman started well. He did start well.
He started well. Then he went to shit. Then he kind of got it back a little bit. Then he went to shit again.
Yeah.
That Brighton game, mate, hold his head in shame. And people wanted him to be our captain. This is why I say every year we make a new signing, give him the armband. Why? I don't believe in giving new signings the armband. This is why I don't believe in giving new signings the armband. Because you sit there and go, captain for Wolves, how often do you watch Wolves? To sit there and know what kind of captain he is. Because I look at him and I think he's been poor at times, but not just that, he's not a vocal guy. He don't come across like captain material.
Yeah. No, I get you, mate. I get you. It's a tough one because like you said, he was captain of Wolves for a while, and you know they weren't great when he was the captain. Let's be honest. So
Yeah.
look, I was one of the people that said about giving him the captaincy because I don't think he. Oh, mate, hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Scott's the dogs are going. So Scott was one of them. Scott's going to answer for his crimes right now. Bowen's not vote, but Bowen's more like you look at the personalities and the temperaments, and I've seen it. But I know it's not all about being vocal, but you just don't scream captain. But yeah, so Scott, you was going to answer for your crimes of suggesting that Kilman should get the armband first day, mate.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But just because I saw him more of a captain material than I did with Bowen, you know, that was. But it was based on the fact that he'd captain Wolves and that he was a centre half for me. You know, I prefer my skippers to be in the back line. You know, because the game is all in front of them.
This is the problem, Scott, though. You give someone the armband, well, as soon as they walk in, you don't know how they're going to perform for you. So someone comes in, you sign them, give them the armband, they turn out to be shit, they end up sitting on the bench, and you have to get rid of them. So this is why I'm always against. So, for so many reasons, someone gets the armband on day one. I'd rather give it to Areola. I'd rather give it to Souček. I'd rather give it to Summervile. Like, there's so many names. If people don't like Bowen and people seem to not like Bowen as a captain, I would never want to take it off him at this stage. But if people didn't like him, there's so many better options from people that are already there than to sign someone and just give them the armband because I think it ruffles feathers. I don't think existing players, I think that turned their nose at it. They haven't fucking shed a single bead of sweat in your shirt. They haven't earned anything, they haven't proved anything, and you don't know if they're going to be good or they're going to be shit. And if they're shit and got the armband, well, that's just a terrible look, isn't it? And that is the thing. In Kilman, as much as I've stuck of it, has been very hit and miss. I think if we'd have given him the armband this season, it would have been a bad look. And I'm glad and Bowen, you can see it means everything to him because whatever people think of him as a captain, he is our best player. He is our most reliable player. Without him, we probably would be in the bottom three. He steps up, and that armband means everything to him. And that is probably one of the biggest anchors keeping him at this club because it is so important to him.
100%. The thing is, though, mate, you don't know whether that was put in his contract.
Who knows? Maybe. I do think it was like a natural decision. You know, they've come in and I guess they just looked at him and was like, he's our best player. You can see he loves the club. He decided to, so it could have been his contract. Or I can see the manager making that decision, and saying,
but I can also see that decision for Souček.
Yeah, I could, but at the same time, Souček is. We don't know Souček's future in terms of where he's going to be, if he's going to be a starter or what. Like Bowen, doesn't matter what he's like. He is our talisman.
Yeah.
He's guaranteed, so he's our talisman. He's our main man. So, yeah, it makes sense. And I say this all the time. The idea of the traditional captain, the Roy Keanes and all of those, it's a dying breed in football. The captain that people want is very rare in today's game. You'll struggle to find them.
Yeah, of course, because of the nature of the way the game's going and the generation of players that you've got coming through.
And they're not really. There's not many characters in the game anymore.
No, and this is half the problem. And it's that thing. You want characters in the game. You want people to stand out. You want the Roy Keanes of the world still playing football and captain inside. There's been so many. Kevin Nolan, great captain for West Ham. Yeah. People like that, you don't have them type of players, and it's a shame for football. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Nobes and players like that, and I think Joe and Paulie are spot on. Like into modern football, it's becoming less relevant. Like the captain's role.
Yeah. You can't be a captain. You can't sit there and shout and scream at certain players anymore. The game's completely changed, and that's the mad thing. When again, completely different types of football. But when I was playing football, the captain would scream at you more than the manager would. Because the captain's on the pitch. He's the one that wants you to be doing all the right things, and now people shrink into their shells, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. Players are, as Paul says, they're very sensitive nowadays. You could just see it. Like before, players you could, you had Nobes and Tompkins have a punch up on the pitch near enough, right? Had be pulled apart. Next minute, they're still best mates, like because that's what people were like. People were built like that. These days, you go and say, "What the fuck you doing? All your shit, mate." You're da. Like players, that's it. They want to transfer. Like they want to get out. It's too much for them. So. So yeah, I think like when the people focus on captain, we place too much on it. I think you have key leaders behind the scenes that are important. That what we said about Fornals last week, what Connor Coventry said about him, how we made him feel like he belonged there and he checked in on him and all of that stuff. Fornals wasn't the captain. I think I would have, if we'd have kept him, I think he would have been a good one. But it's stuff like this. What Noble done off the pitch in integrating players and from what I hear, Bowen does that, checks in on people. Like that's all an important role as the captain. What people want to see in terms of players shouting at other players on the pitch, it's so rare. You're not really gonna see it. Like you see sometimes Pickford, like goalkeepers, will have a fucking moan if they're under pressure and the back line's letting them down. You see that sometimes, but it's so rare. So I think people just do too much on the captain's thing. But again, like I am against, that's why I just new players captain for me. No. So yeah, like I said, so hopefully next season it's all up there. Like I said, people want to sit there and they say to me, "Oh, West Ham's finished," and West Ham, there's reason to be pessimistic, but I can't call it either way because that transfer window's huge. What we get rid of and what we bring in, anything can happen. We've been successful in spite of Sullivan before. We can be successful in spite of Sullivan again. If it's up to Carl McCauley and he's scouting and Potter's player ID, we sign the right players, we get the balance right. You just who knows? So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, of course not.
There are a lot to be pissed off, but we'll see.
The thing is, mate, is you're looking for positives from this season. You look at the players that've been out on loan. Potsy's done really, really well at Portsmouth. He's been a key player in keeping that side in the Championship. You just asked Callum Marshall get Huddersfield's Player of the Season. George Murphy, is doing really well at Bristol. I'm not sure. I think didn't he get Player of the Match or something like that the other day?
Was it Player of the Match or Player of the Season or something?
I'm not sure whether he got Player. I know Marshall. I'm sure Marshall got Player of the Season.
Marshall, Huddersfield. Yeah.
And these are the positives we got to look at. These young lads doing really well for us, and hopefully they come into the squad next season and hit the ground running. It could be. This is the thing. What we're saying, we've all going all the way back to Summerville. With that injury and all that, going into the start of next season, it's a big opportunity for George Murphy. It's an opportunity for him to step up and get his place, and then Summerville's got to get try and overtake him. There's opportunities there for these youngsters next season, and some of them are going around the right way of doing it, showing the business on the pitch, and they need to be able now to take that step up from the Championship and do it in the Premier League. And hopefully a couple of them manage to do that. And that's instead of going out and hunting and finding these gems, maybe we've got a couple sitting there in our under 23s.
Yeah, no, that's it. But to me, we can't rely on that in the terms of so I would say, like I said, you've got Earthy, Potts and all of that stuff. So I get what you say. Like if we could just have these and not have to bring players in, however, that would be a massive gamble to go with them if they turn out to not be ready, and then we leave ourselves short.
No, of course not. You don't not sign players on the fact that you've got them players. What I'm saying is you've got options there that if you're looking for these players in the Championship, Potts been playing in the Championship all season. Earthy playing in the Championship. Marshall's all right. I think Huddersfield League One.
No, I think they go and they get the League One, or they was
I
they
can't
get
remember where they are, but do you know what I mean? This is what you send these players out on loan for, to get the experience. And if they
League
do it
One,
really
yeah.
well, you've got to give them the chance. Look, we saw Josh Cullen go out and do well on loan at places with your Coventry doing it. They wasn't given a chance in the Premier League for West Ham. Right? They're there applying their trade. Cullen had a season with Burnley in the Premier League, and this is the thing. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but if these players are doing well playing in the Championship, which we know is a very, very tough league, and we're looking to sign players in the Championship, give them an opportunity. Give them an opportunity to showcase. Give them that chance.
Yeah.
And see what happens. And you could sit there and say, well, we've needed that Potts type player in our midfield. Well, we've got one. So let's give them that opportunity. We've sent them out there on loan. They're doing what they're doing and doing it well. Let's just see how they can go. Give them that pre-season. Give them a chance before we go spending loads of money on a bunch of prima donnas that don't deserve it.
Well, I'm confident that Potter will do that. As every time, I think he's going to have a very good look at the youth in the summer and see what we've got. But yeah, we're going to have to be sharp about getting some players off the books.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
definitely.
Sure. And raise some funds. So I've got fucking sun cream in my eye. It's horrible.
Right, that's the figure. As I said at the start, that's the thing I forgot today. Sun cream. So
yeah, I didn't forget sun cream, and I'm suffering. So we're both suffering for either a lack or abundance of sun cream. Yeah, Dean Garner. To be fair, we sold for a decent fee. That's another one, Dean Garner. But yeah, he hasn't gone on to do much. And then, I remember being really outraged, and it was one of them things of we sold a youngster, and he was promised he was doing well for us, mate. He showed a lot of promise.
The mad thing about it, wasn't it? I think he prayed in a friendly, didn't he? And Hilaire turned around and said, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to play with him, supplying me the balls like that." And then we sold him the next week.
But maybe Hilaire would have worked out great if we kept Dean Garner.
The thing is, mate, is that I think sometimes players suit different teams better, if you know what I mean. And it is a lot of the timings that you come through and stuff like that. It's hard for a youngster to break into, unless you're a special talent. It's very hard for a youngster to break in and cement himself within a first team with a Premier League side. And it's why they're few and far between nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly, mate. So listen, like I said, it's we've got to suffer for the rest of the season. Hopefully, we smash Spurs on Sunday. It won't be a watch along because Jace is coming with me. Are you there, Scott?
I'm there, mate. I'm there. It's my last game of the season tomorrow.
Oh, it's
Sunday. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not about for Forest, so it's my last game of the season. So I'm hopefully going to go out this season on a win.
Yep. Yeah. Listen. Hopefully. It's massively important. So, listen. We need it. Just try and get as many points. Like I said, whatever happens, if we just finish above Man United and Spurs, that's a little something. Although it makes me sick that one of them are likely going to shithouse themselves to a trophy in Champions League football. Absolutely disgusting. And the fact that they slate our Conference League, when we face some harder teams in the Conference League than they have in the fucking Europa League, because now the Champions League teams don't drop down.
Oh, mate! If you look at the season we got knocked out by Leverkusen, that Europa League, there were some quality sides in that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Even the first season when we were in it, the likes of Lyon, Seville, we had some tough games. So,
and you know what? I think if we had the Europa League that Spurs and Man United have had when we was in it, we would have won.
Yeah, mate.
We would have at least got to the final.
Yeah,
but we would have won. If the Champions League teams didn't drop down, and we didn't have, it wasn't as competitive as it is now. I mean, the fact that we've got the Europa League and was it 14th and 16th could potentially be in the final against each other, and one of them could win the whole thing. It's disgusting. I'm disgusted by this. Absolutely.
And that's the thing. You're talking about the Conference League and talking about Pablo Fornells. Bet it's winning 2-1 the other night. 1 foot in the final. You know, it'd be good.
Yeah.
Do you know what? He's such a nice guy. So I hope they get there
Yeah.
and get to the final. It'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely love him. What a guy. 0-0. I can promise you it won't be 0-0 on Sunday, not with these two teams. You can bet your ass. It
When was our last 0-0?
When was our last
We
0-0?
had one this season, a 0-0.
Oh, we must have had one, surely. Someone's going to just reel it off their head, didn't they? Didn't we have a 0-0? I can't. Yeah, we've had one. We've had draws, but I don't know if we've actually had 0-0s. We might not have had one this season.
We must have had a 0-0.
I can't remember one. I can't remember a single 0-0 for West Ham this season.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. Everton. Oh, no, Everton was 1-1. Or was it Everton at home was 0-0?
Yeah, that's how good it was.
Everton
away was 1-1.
Everton. So Everton at home must have been 0-0.
Everton home, November, 0-0. Yeah, it is a rarity. It's a rarity result, isn't it? A rarity result in 0-0.
That's the only one this season. Yeah, no other 0-0. We've won 4-1. We lost 4-1.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm going for a 0-0 tomorrow. We ain't had one for a while. I'm going 0-0 tomorrow. Sunday, sorry.
When has not just like I can't think of any West Ham Spurs 0-0s like in our history. Like,
well, that'd be.
I need to look when our last. Now I'm going to quickly find it out.
Hang on. I'm looking.
Well, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
All right.
We'll see if you can find it first. Go on, you look, and we'll see. Right. Our last 0-0 was. Oh wow. It's been a lot. Our last 0-0 was 2011
against
Spurs away, 19th of March. That was the last ever 0-0 against Spurs.
Mental.
That is mental. 14.
So we're doing one. We're playing really bad. They're going to rest players. It's going to be 0-0. 0-0 written all over it.
I'm going to say fucking hell. Before that, 2001 was the last one 0-0 before that at home, 31st of January 2001.
See, so we're true one, mate. We're true a 0-0. It's coming. It's coming.
And then before that, like I bet I could count on one hand how many 0-0s there's been against Spurs. I'm having to scroll a lot to find the last 0-0 before 2001.
There you go.
1947. 0-0 Spurs away. 7th May 1947 was the last one before that. So that's 3 0-0s so far.
Yep.
To 1924, 9th of February, West Ham at home. That's 4 0-0.
So we've got more 0-0s at home against Spurs than we have away. So it's going to be due. Listen, the way we're playing at the minute and the way they're defensive, there's no way that's going to be 0-0.
1904, right? We had 2 back-to-back, 18th of April and 24th of September. Southern League and Southern League First Division, 2 0-0s back-to-back. Before that, 1903, 1902. Fucking hell, we had 4 in a row in 1900. 4 Thames Ironworks. 4 in a row. So we've had about 11 in like 125 years. So there you go. There's a little bit of history for you. So 60.
1904 WHF TV History Channel.
Yeah, we played over 200 games against them, and there's been 10, 11 0-0s. There you go. So you're predicting a 0-0, Scott. And what I've just said,
a 0-0 ball.
Really?
Yeah, 0-0 ball.
I'm gonna say 3-2 West Ham. I'm going the complete opposite direction. Like with our defense, with their attack, our defense, their defense. Yeah, I think there's gonna be goals in this game. The big time Charlies will turn up. And
it's the crazy thing is, mate, is you can see it either way, can't you? You can see a 0-0, but you can also see goals because neither team can defend.
Oh yeah.
You know.
God.
But yeah, no, listen, fingers crossed we go and get the result. We need the result. We need a lift. We don't want to go into the last 3 games of the season having to put up with them beating us, and then potentially getting into a final. So let's get the job done and go from there.
Oh, this don't make sense. We played them twice on the 10th of March. West Ham versus Spurs, Southern League First Division. Thames Ironworks versus Spurs, Southern League. So was there a point where there was like West Ham United and Thames Ironworks at the same time in 1900?
Ain't got a clue, mate. Ain't got
That
a clue.
is an interesting bit of history trivia. If someone can look at that, look into that. It's very interesting. West Ham Spurs. Maybe we were like, fuck, we didn't like that result. We're going to come back as... It's like, if anyone remembers Royal Rumble 98 when Mick Foley came out as different Mankind. Get eliminated, come out as a different person. That was us. If we didn't get the result we wanted, right, we come back as Thames Ironworks.
It's the old Sunday League doubleheader where you play 2 games for an hour each instead of one 90-minute game.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. So, listen, let's enjoy the rest of our weekend before West Ham could potentially spoil it. We can watch all the other games. It looks like Man City have beaten Wolves. Their incredible run of 6 wins in a row looks like it's come to an end, which is incredible for them.
Mm.
And
the crazy thing is, mate, how bad Man City have been this season. What are they now? 4th?
I think they're third. Are they third? Third. They're third.
Third with a game. Oh, third.
Newcastle got game in hand.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't
it? Forest were like second at one point. They've massively bottled it.
Massive. Yep.
Yeah.
They were shocking in that. Did you see that semi-final?
Oh yeah. They
were absolutely awful.
You watch after how bad Man City are going to be. They finish like they're only 3 points behind Arsenal. I think they could actually finish second.
It's mental because Arsenal. There's no way Arsenal are going to field a strong team tomorrow.
No. So I think imagine that Man City's worst season in years. They finished second with an FA Cup. Right? So listen,
that would just sum up this season completely.
Mad
sum
season.
Up the Premier League completely.
Mad season. Null and void it. I say null and void.
It's literally Liverpool have been the most consistent team this season.
Done well, yeah.
You know, and what they're as it stands at the moment, they are 15 points clear at the top.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't think, now they've already won it. I don't think they're going to let up. I think they're going to want to win it by a margin.
Yeah. The thing is, people that are saying, "Oh, Liverpool won a shit league," Liverpool are on 82 points. You look at Man City when they've won the league. It's been on similar points.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they've won it on like record low points and it's just been that shit. They've done what they've just done like normal champions. What they do, like the normal number of points. It's not their fault. Everyone else is not up to their level. If they were like normal settings, they still would have won the league. If they were as good as they are this year, they probably would have won the league last year.
Yeah, we're on 36 points at the minute, mate. Teams have been renegated with that. It's just the way the season is. It's just a mental season. This season's been. It's one of the worst, but it's also been quite interesting.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I'm ready for it to be over.
Massively. Yeah, done now.
What?
Done now. I'm as I said, this was I suppose my last game. I ain't there for Forest, and that's me done.
Well, that's it. Listen, we hopefully we have something to fucking shout about on Sunday, and then that's it. But thank you all for watching, for joining us. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the sun. One thing left to say: come on, you
hands.